Hello, everyone. I'm here with Gregory Mostin, who is co-founder and CEO of Wexler AI. For our listeners ahead of Legal Innovators UK, where Wexler will be exhibiting with us on the litigation day, um, we would like to invite Gregory to introduce himself to the audience and also tell us a little bit more about what Wexler AI does.
Hi, Timo, and hi, everyone. I'm Greg. I'm the CEO and co-founder. Um, really excited to take you through what we do. So my background, I'm not actually a lawyer, interestingly, but I was a marketing director in a couple of scale-ups, and my real entry into the legal world came through my family. So my dad was a high court judge and then a barrister. And he spent 42 years in litigation, seeking to champion the legal reform, and his passionate beliefs about doing so have been imbued in me from a very early age. So he was very involved in the initial sort of V1 back of the napkin version of Wexler, because what he taught me is in litigation, having a grip of the facts is more important than anything. It's more important than having a grip of the law. It's really the who did what when, the events that have led to, whatever dispute is in hand. If you have a grip of those facts, you're much more likely to win the case. And so at the time, and still to an extent today, it was all generalist AI platforms, generalist legal AI platforms, which were trying to do a lot of things for, all of the lawyers, essentially aggregating the tasks that lawyers do, even someone who's a sort of transactional lawyer in-house with a litigator working on $100 million dispute. So we set about building something custom for those workflows. And the first thing we built was a chronology. So basically ordering the facts into their chronological historical significance. And that was the kind of first thing we did. And we still do that. That's still a core part of our product, but it's now become a more encompassing platform for extracting, analyzing, and verifying facts in any litigation. Well, really in any disputes, so arbitration, litigation, investigations in any jurisdiction around the world. And we're seeing incredible growth. And I think the market is kind of reflecting that focus, that people are now looking for custom solutions which are bespoke and match up to the nuances and skills they've acquired over the course of their career. That's Wexler.
And I've been in the sector for just over 9 years now. UK has historically been um, a little bit slower in terms of innovation within that particular segment of law. A lot of the litigation or dispute technology has predominantly been US founded, UK imported. Now we are finally seeing some players on the market, such as yourself, such as TrialView and others that seems to have built some exciting tech that is picking a lot of popularity, not just here on the home turf, but also abroad in the US. Can you tell us a little bit more about what are your most significant customer wins over the past year? And what has led them to choose Wexler over other solutions that are available to them?
100%. So yes, I think it is interesting. My view is that the sort of mother legal system is the English legal system. It's where basically the rest of the common law systems have been derived from. I think, I went to a talk by Sir Geoffrey Voss, and he was saying, people from all around the world govern the contracts of hundreds of millions of pounds, hundreds and billions of pounds under the rules and regulations of the English courts. So, and people often litigate their interests in the English courts because it is seen as this fair and just legal system. And I think it's a perfect place to build and grow legal tech, especially on the litigation side. You look at the barristers we have, the eminence we have around the world. So yeah, I absolutely think that we had a sort of USP there, which we can then expand across into different markets. And I think that's reflected, as you say, in our customer wins. So Clifford Chance, the largest law firm in the UK, and also I think ninth largest in the world, we are expanded globally with them. We're deployed into every jurisdiction across US, continental Europe, UK, as well as APAC. Herbert Smith, so Herbert Smith Freehills Kramer, which is now merged with their US counterpart. We work with them. They're a disputes powerhouse, and they've been very involved in the development. We've kind of co-created Wexler together. Then we've got Adelshaw Goddard, who you'll know are a very forward-thinking and innovative firm. Burgess Salmon, who are also, very well known and recognized in the UK for being one of the top disputes players. And then finally, we've got Goodwin, who are a US firm. and we are expanded across the US with Goodwin, but we started with the English team and sort of grew um, into that market in the US. It just shows that this idea of facts is universal. It's not just limited to an English legal system. Facts have no frontier. And yeah, in terms of why they picked us, I think it's about the fact that it's bespoke and it's custom. I think litigators are some of the busiest lawyers around. They don't have time to learn how to prompt engineer. They don't have time to learn how to sort of manipulate a general system, which tends to be trained on transactional law or sort of built directly for transactional workflows, to sort of retrofit them for litigation tasks. I think, when you have a few hours to do a task which might take you a week, you really need something that's tailored and bespoke for those skills and nuances. And I think that is why we've seen such great adoption. That's why people really like Wexler. And it's also the quality of the output and the scale of documents we can ingest. Like, we can ingest 100,000 documents at a minimum per upload. But yeah, a few things I think about the custom workflow tailored for litigation, scale, and then the quality of the output.
And while litigation is not as common as disputes are,
Yeah.
are you also envisioning that this system can be eventually used for internal disputes, for instance? Would you feel that this can eventually be deployed within in-house legal teams that may be dealing with a higher volume of not necessarily external disputes, but also internal ones?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've had a number of in-house teams use the platform already, either in collaboration with their law firms working on the cases or for, like, as you say, internal investigations, employment disputes, things which it wouldn't make financial sense to farm out to the law firm, but nonetheless can take up a huge amount of time. They can be the last thing you want to deal with when it lands on your desk. So yes, we do see a real growth opportunity there. But broadly, we're working on complex litigation, working with some of the world's largest law firms, also with litigation boutiques, like smaller firms in the UK and the US and continental Europe who are like up against firms with 10 times as many staff working on each case. So that's where we see a real opportunity there. And then also we're working with some barristers chambers who, are sort of the most eminent, the most exacting and the most demanding of customer. But I think it's a real reflection of the value and quality of our product that those people are still happy and willing to use Wexler on some of their cases. So yes, I think basically any disputes. We're starting with big law litigation, which is not really what you're meant to do as a startup. Start with massive customers, but nonetheless, we're solving a problem for them, which is creating a lot of ROI, and the customer feedback is really, really positive. So yeah, onwards and upwards.
And with regards to, I know that you mentioned several times throughout the interview that it is a bespoke build based on the way that those litigators or dispute resolution lawyers operate. So I assume that some of that customizability is in relation to the workflows that they have. But are there any particular features that remain static that particularly delight your customers, and that you see being, let's say, overly utilized by them?
Yeah, so we have this new feature, which when we share it to people, it's kind of like the eureka moment. And especially in the US, I think people's jaw kind of drops, and people are using it a lot for depositions, mock depositions, scenario planning, those kinds of things. And basically, what it does is it's a new paradigm. So it's not just listening, it's not just analyzing text, it's actually transcribing audio live. So what it does is it will listen to a deposition or witness testimony or a speech or an interview or a voicemail that someone might receive, and it fact checks it in real time. So while it's happening, it transcribes the audio and it pings out in a couple of seconds if someone says something which conflicts with the evidence which has already sort of been analyzed. So for example, Richard Sackler, if you've seen Dope Sick or any of those other shows, we play his deposition into it, and it's talking about how he didn't know about the ill effects of OxyContin, and it goes ping, here's 20 documents where you actually did know exactly about this before the time that you allege you didn't know. And people are really, really impressed by that. And you can listen to it back, you can corroborate, you can verify before you act on it. But that is definitely a showstopper feature that's really getting people incredibly excited, and is very much at the cutting edge of what you can do with these models.
And I completely understand why big law it's an important initial target for the organization. You're
Mm.
funded company. You've recently raised a
Yeah.
substantial round. Um, but litigation trickles down to every corner of society, and um, being raised in a family that has probably faced this throughout the years, and what inspired you to build the business to start with. Do you see this too in support of some criminal litigation? As we know, our criminal litigation system, not just ours here, but all over the world, it's exceptionally imperfect. And there is miscarriage of justice as a very common occurrence. Yet criminal law over the years has not been necessarily a, a, a sexy subject for legal tech, because
Mm.
it's notoriously underfunded.
Yeah.
Do you envision the system being also used in criminal cases, or has it been used in criminal cases yet?
It's been used in criminal cases, but for but white collar crime. So, much higher value disputes, but nonetheless really important. Look, there's no reason why it can't be. I think you're right. I think there is an access to justice piece here. Ultimately, what Wexler allows people to do is to get to the facts, to get to the truth, ensure that every single document can be considered, not just what people have the time or the money to review. So, I definitely think, longer term, this is a positive development. It means that every single piece of evidence can be considered, the weight of that evidence can be evaluated, and, then people are being represented by lawyers who actually can review every single possible line of inquiry rather than just what they have the time to do. I think I actually wrote an article about this in Prince Harry's case against the Mirror. They only were able to consider a fraction of the sort of exhibits in court because of the overriding objective, which essentially is not to, waste court's time and ensure that, you're only doing things that are sort of beneficial to moving things forward. So I think in a world where you could review every single document, you'd have to say that that would be a much fairer system, because you wouldn't just be doing what you have the time or the resources to review. So I definitely think longer term, there's things like public defenders in the US who could benefit from this tool. Smaller law firms, people with interest can be litigated. People who are laid off by a big company who aren't able to bring that suit. This is, the potential, as you say, access to justice point, which could create a more equitable system. So yeah, absolutely. In the future, that's something we're exploring.
And in terms of what's up and coming on the horizon for you guys, both from a go-to-market perspective, but also from a product standpoint, coming early 2026, what are Wexler's plans? What is your vision for the future? And where can customers engage with you beyond our Legal Innovators conference coming in November?
So I think we're really ahead on product. I think our product is incredibly good. Like, we're winning bake-offs against companies with, like hundreds of millions of dollars of funding. And we've had sort of 6 or 7. Um, so I think we're not going to kind of build endless features. For us, it's about scale, reliability, quality of accuracy. We're doing a massive benchmarking project, which we're going to be releasing the results of, basically show the retrieval, the consistency, the accuracy, the quality of Wexler, etc. So watch this space for all of those developments. We are doing a sort of re-architecture of our product at the moment, which would basically allow easier storage of documents in Wexler, but it's not too sexy, but it's incredibly useful. Basically moving to being more of a platform rather than a sort of more defined solution. And so, yeah, the real focus is on sales and marketing. It's about growing our imprint. It's about going up at conferences. We're doing a big roadshow through the US in a few weeks. We'll be at the Legal Tech Fund Summit in Austin, and we're visiting all of our customers in the US, UK, continental Europe, etc. So, yeah, hiring a lot. We've just brought on our head of commercial strategy, Carl Evans, who is a ex-litigating associate from Mayer Brown, and yeah, looking to sort of assemble an elite team who can take us to the next level. Continue with funding rounds and so on. So, yeah, I think we're ahead on product. It's sort of consolidation in terms of product, as well as improving quality, benchmarking, etc. And then now it's about scale.
And in terms of the, because again, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of products
Yeah.
come and go in the legal tech sector.
Yeah.
This product and a couple of others have somewhat built their own category
Yeah.
that didn't necessarily exist up until recently. How would you categorize Wexler? Because it's not
Yeah.
necessarily a discovery tool.
No.
So how would you, for the litigators, for
Yeah.
discovery managers, which I can
Yeah.
also see benefit from this in organizations, how would you categorize the product?
So we call it fact intelligence. So it's basically, we say we're the fact intelligence platform. So it's essentially it's not just fact management, because that doesn't even begin to capture the quality of the analysis that we offer. It's basically the extraction, analysis, management, and verification of every fact in every dispute. So we don't look at law, although we may in the future. We don't look at law. We say we leave that to the lawyers. What we do is we allow you to manipulate the factual information in your cases and turn that into a winning case strategy. Incredibly useful for trial prep, deposition prep, analysis, and so on. So it's not just e-discovery. Like, e-discovery fundamentally is sort of more about preparing documents for humans to review, right? Whereas Wexler actually reviews the documents themselves. So you could triage in an e-discovery tool first and then take them into Wexler for that second level review. Or it might be that Wexler comes right at the beginning of the case and the client hands over 10,000 documents and says, get back to me by Friday with where we stand. So it's not just telling you if a document is relevant, it's actually going into the document, picking out the key facts within the document where they admit to the alleged discretion or issue, whatever it is, telling you why it's relevant, which specific issue it's relevant to, whether it's inconsistent with other facts, the date of the event, allow you to ask questions over that and then analyze it across the whole corpus. And that's really the kind of the core task that litigators are trying to do, is to establish the facts. And so, yeah, that's fact intelligence.
So we're just towards the end of our conversation here. Can you please just tell us who are the type of individuals that you look forward to engaging at our conference in November? Who should be coming to your booth on the 6th of November and having a conversation with you and your colleagues?
So it's either practicing fee earners in the litigation department. That's who we really love talking to, understanding their pain points, talking through the specific things that Wexler can help with. Otherwise, it's heads of innovation, practice directors, and the litigation team, knowledge lawyers. We love speaking to knowledge lawyers who are involved with the procurement of tools, but also training the litigators themselves. So any of the above, really. It is very much a tool that's specifically for the litigation practice, but also the innovation teams are very involved in the purchasing decision and the piloting and all the rest. So, yeah, any of the above or anyone else, please come over and chat to us.
Awesome, Gregory. Thank you very much. For anyone that may not make it to the conference, we're going to tag Gregory to this post. So feel free to connect with him on LinkedIn, and I'm sure that he will be delighted to show you the platform and see how it can benefit you and your organization. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.